pastors, leaders who are listening and watching this? Like, what are some just like your either non-negotiables or absolute keys in like your rhythm that you keep to in life that are like, this just helps me maintain the place on the rock?
Yes. So I've got a principle behind what I'll share that was really liberating for me. I heard a guy, so James Clear wrote a book called Atomic Habits, wonderful book. It sold over 1 million copies. And it's basically a summarization of all the literature on self-control, habits, transformation. So it's not a Christian book at all, but there's a lot of good stuff in it. He's got a chapter there on resisting temptation through identity resistance rather than behavioral resistance. That is pure gold. And in essence, he says, it's not like I want to, but I can't, but I'm not the kind of person that does that. Therefore, I'm not interested. That is like Christian resistance, man. That's like, because I'm in Jesus, I don't do that anymore, rather than that. I want to sin, but I can't because I'm a Christian. He says so often the mistake we make is we look at other people's discipline and then we match our lack of discipline with their perceived discipline and we condemn ourselves. And he says, but what we don't realize is we're probably looking at somebody else's natural temperament or preferences optimized, and we're comparing somebody else's natural temperament and optimized preferences with our temperament and preferences, and we should never do that. So he says the key is basically find out who you are, be disciplined, but optimize around your natural wiring, and don't compare yourself to anybody else. And when I read that, I was like, I think that's what I've basically been doing for 20 years of my life. I figured out pretty early on, I'm a morning person, I'm a content person, I'm a cultural missionary. I'm fascinated by human culture. I can do these effortlessly for a long period of time with some disciplined boundaries. But if I'm trying to pretend to be somebody else or keep up with someone else, I can't sustain that, particularly under stress. And so many of our lives these days are just filled with stress. So I basically have built my life optimized around who I am. Now, I acknowledge it requires some level of privilege and to be able to do that, but you have tremendous agency to shape your life at this time of history, more than you know. So my day works basically in 2 giant movements. I get up super early, I always have, and I have a devotional. So I have 3 prayer movements of my day, and my day's in 2 parts. My prayer movements in the morning are intimacy with God, and it's just pure enjoyment of God's presence. It's Mueller's stuff on making your heart happy in God every day. That is like, I do that. I read a devotional book. Right now I'm reading The Life of Charles Finney. I just finished James K.A. Smith's book on St. Augustine. I'm just reading like stuff to fuel the heart. Then I do the Bible in a year, or I read the lectionary. So I've done the Bible in a year, and this year I'm on the lectionary, and I just read it, meditate, basically Lectio Divina, read, think, pray, live, man. I do that in the morning. This morning I was in Psalm 62, and I was completely caught up in wonder. Truly my soul finds rest in God alone. It says, I won't be shaken. In Hebrew means demoralized. Because I rest in God, I won't be demoralized. That'll preach. And so I was just like filled with life. So I just walk around taking photos, thanking God, praying. It's all intimacy. Lunchtime, I do incarnation. I walk around the city and I just try and be sensitive to the Holy Spirit, secret ministry. Lord, are there any people on the street? Any prophetic words, any promptings, anybody you're highlighting, any people that I can minister to, so that my heart, like in Acts 17, Paul's grieved by the idolatry. I want to feel that burden for the city. And then at night, I basically do intercession, which is I have a specific things I'm praying, contending, believing God for. So that's like my days in those 3 prayer movements. And my day itself is split into 2. So I basically do study and prayer in the morning up until 12 o'clock. From 12 to 1, I go to our prayer room and pray the Psalms. And then I do leadership from sort of like 1 to 6 or 7. That's the afternoon. So the day's in 2 parts. Pretty traditional, actually, sort of pastoral framework, which is study and pray in the morning and then minister in the afternoon.
Yeah. I mean, I see that from, if I'm watching you on Instagram stories, I'm like, wow, you're in the, a New York time zone. So you're 5 hours difference. And I'm like, I'm just in the morning, probably having a coffee or whatever it works out. I'm like, he's like, you're up. There's the books you're reading. There's the prayer going on at the church.
If someone came to me and they said, in order to follow Jesus properly, you have to stay up till 2 a.m. every day, I'd be like, I suck as a Christian. I'm just not wired for that, man. So it's like, it's find and be honest about who you are and maximize that. and get out of the comparison trap. Look, I'm not anybody else. I'm me. And I can learn from people who are like me, but I'm still me, and, optimize around the way God's made you. And I think that's just like one of the keys to longevity. I've been in the game a long time in New York, and only by the grace of God, but my heart is more full than it's ever been. I've got more faith, vision, intimacy with God. And if I was trying to compare myself or imitate someone else, I'd struggle. Under stress, you default to your core behaviors. And so why not build your life around the best of those core behaviors? That's my spirit. Anyway.